for this wicked world. Your data's uncorrupted, but does something skip inside you? That's what takes up time.
Hi there, welcome back to My Hot Kitchen. I'm Wendy, and I'm here to show you how to turn up the heat in your kitchen with easy romantic meals. This week's romantic meal will feature steak with mole sauce, stuffed hash browns, delicious grilled vegetables, a jicama salad, and the ever-endearing flan. So flan is a traditional dessert in south of the border areas, and it's basically just a caramel custard. So I'm going to begin by warming up 1 cup of milk with a ½ cup of sugar. And I'm going to whisk that all together and make it nice and happy, dissolve all the sugar. And I'm just going to bring it up to a simmer. I'm just going to keep my milk on a nice medium-low heat here until I just barely see it start to bubble. And I'm going to stir it frequently so that I don't get any skin forming on the top. And something else I should show you is the caramel that I have going on. Now I have a ¼ cup of water and 1 cup of white sugar, and I'm simmering it on a nice low temperature until it becomes very caramelized looking in color and hardens up nicely. So while the milk warms and your caramel is caramelizing, I want to go ahead and get the eggs ready. Just crack a couple eggs and beat the schnout out of them. Make them nice and light and fluffy. Add to it about a ½ teaspoon of cinnamon and a teaspoon of vanilla or another extract of your choosing. Coconut works well, almond is good. Let your imagination go wild with that one. Whisk this all together. And then the other thing that I'm going to whisk in here is 1 pack of instant coffee. And the instant coffee is going to add a special flavor to it, and it's going to make it a creme caramel con café, if you will. So since flan, or creme caramel as it's sometimes called, is a custard-based dessert, that means you're going to be tempering in the warm milk into these cold eggs, a process which I will show you in just a few moments. Alright, well it looks like my milk has just barely started to simmer, so it's the perfect time to start tempering it in. So tempering is a process of adding a hot liquid to something like eggs that would coagulate quickly under a hot liquid, very slowly. The trick is to warm up the eggs without cooking them. So you just start by drizzling the milk in little tiny bit at a time here, mixing it thoroughly before you add any more. And the more milk you add, the faster you can pour it in. All right, excellent. I have all my milk blended in there, and wow, does that smell good. Let's take a look-see at the caramel and see how that's doing. That looks beautiful. What a nice color that is. I'm just going to pull a little bit out and allow it to cool on the spoon for a couple minutes. What I'm looking for is for it to harden up. Just like that. It's still rather hot to the touch, but I know that once it cools down, it's going to turn into a hard shell. So the next step with the flan is to take the caramel and pour it into the pan in which you're going to be baking your flan in. And you can get quite creative with your pans here. You can use little souffle cups or cake pans or a springform pan. Any type of pan that you like will do the trick. You just want to allow the caramel to harden up for a moment before you add the custard mix on top of it. So you can see that the caramel's hardened up. When you move the pan around, it really doesn't move much anymore. Perfect. And it's now ready to receive the custard. Excellent. Make sure all those spices get in there too. Yummy. All right, now one more step before it goes in the oven, and that is to add hot water to your pan so that you can bake it in a hot water bath. Also a very traditional step with custards. So you want to start with hot water, and what you want to do is fill it up to just below the level of the custard in the pan. And the reason you do this is so that the custard bakes gently in the water rather than getting scorched in the oven. The water helps to disperse the heat. Alrighty, that should do the trick. And now into the oven. I need to open the doors first. I've got my oven set at 325 degrees, and I'm estimating that this flan is going to take about 45 minutes to bake. I will know when it's done because when I put a knife into it, it will come out clean. So now the next step is to get the gorgeous steaks marinating. So I've got a couple of nice little New York steaks here. And I'm just going to keep the seasonings really simple on them. I'm going to sprinkle them with a little tiny bit of cumin and a little tiny bit of chili powder. And then I'm going to squeeze lime over them and then give them a little bit of beer. Get them a little bit drunk, you know? A couple lime wedges over the top. Yummy. Not that it needs any tenderizing, but the acid from the lime will help to tenderize the steak. So if you're working with a leaner cut of steak or something that's more tough, go ahead and boost up the lime. Okay, pour a little beer over the top. And then just stab it a few times. Make sure you repeat with the other side as well. This helps to make sure that the flavors go all the way into the meat. Whoa, getting a little carried away there. All right, and then flip them over one more time just to make sure all that gorgeous flavor gets worked in there. And then let these guys rest in the fridge until you are ready to grill them. And then make sure you wash your hands after handling that meat. Alrighty, and now it's time to talk about salads. So I'm whipping up a yummy little jicama-based salad. So jicama is a fun little root vegetable, somewhere between the texture of a turnip and an apple. It goes great in salads, and I'm going to cut it into julienne cut, which are those long, thin strips. So I'm going to start by slicing off about that much of it. Probably should do the trick. And then slice that into long, thin strips. All right, put that into my salad bowl. Then next I have about half a cucumber that I've already sliced and about a quarter of a red bell pepper that I've diced up. And a couple of green onions sliced all the way to the top until the tops became a little bit wilty. I didn't put that part in the salad. A little sprinkling of fresh jalapeno in there for fun and fire. And then jazz it up with some citrus fruit. Now this particular grapefruit looked really good to me, so I picked it out. Oranges work well, limes work well, lemons work well. It's all good. Now I'm going to be segmenting my grapefruit here, so I'm going to very carefully, with the tip of my knife, scoop that skin off of it. What I'm trying to do is cut off just the skin and the pith and leave the fruit. This is called segmenting. Go, take the tip of my knife and just clean off that pith. And then what you want to do is slide the tip of your knife into the segments without trying not to cut the skin as well. And what you should get out of it are nice little pretty slices like that. And just work until you've cut as much out of there as you can, or as much as you like. All right, very good. Into the salad with these. Those are really quite tasty because they don't have any of the skin on them, so they're going to be very tender and delicious. All right, the next part is to start seasoning up the salad. So you're going to use several squeezes of fresh lime juice and cilantro, a little bit of your favorite hot sauce, and salt and pepper to season it up. The lime juice acts as a catalyst that starts breaking down the vegetables and blending the flavors together. Its acidity is unmatched in its ability to do that. A little bit of fresh cilantro in there, a little bit of my favorite chili sauce, a nice generous amount of salt, and a couple cracks of fresh black pepper. toss this all up together and let it start marinating. Look at how pretty that is. The pinkness of the grapefruit, the green of the cucumber, the red of the bell pepper, and the pretty whiteness of the jicama. All right, and just let that rest for a few moments. And then the real fun part about this salad is that it's going to be laid on a bed of avocado. So work with some semi-firm avocados for the best results for this salad. Slice it down its axis, break it apart, get that pit out of there, and then scoop it out. And it's actually very convenient that I still have citrus juice on my cutting board because that's going to help keep the avocado from browning prematurely. I'm going to go ahead and do that with the other one as well. Love that. Just the best way to get the pit out of an avocado. I remember before I learned that trick, I'd be trying spoons and all sorts of strange tools, and all I'd ever do is destroy the avocado. Okay, and then slice it along its bias so that you get nice, long, pretty strips. Try to keep your slices in order for the best presentation. All right, let's see how far that gets us first. So I'm going to fan these out on the plate here. Make it nice and pretty. And reach in here and get the other plate as well. I'm actually thinking that half an avocado per plate will be plenty. Then just scoop the salad on top of it and you have like a vegetable delight. Eating vegetables never tasted so good. Beautiful. So this little salad is going to play the role of your appetizer in tonight's delicious feast. It's nice and light and an excellent complement to the steak with mole.
Wow, look at this. Yum, very nice. All right.
Hey, what's going on in here? I was going to use that later.
It's good right now.
Silly. So as I was saying, I'm going to save this for later, and to keep it from turning brown, I'm going to squeeze a little lime juice over it. Sorry, sweetie.
It's okay.
I think it's time to check the flan. I need both my oven mitts here because this guy's hot and heavy and full of hot liquids. So as I mentioned before, the true test of doneness is to insert a knife into the middle and look for it to come out clean. That looks clean to me. So I'm going to set this off to the side to cool. And I'm just going to leave it in its water bath for the time being. Once it's cooled down to the point where I can stick my fingers in the water, then I will take it out of the bath and put it into the fridge. And in the meantime, it's time to get going on the rest of dinner. So the next step that I would suggest would be to get your vegetables marinating. So you're going to be grilling carrots and pineapple slices. And the carrots are going to benefit greatly from having a little acidity poured on them before they go onto the grill. So that was the pineapple juice from the can of sliced pineapple rings that I'm using. That was a little bit of white vinegar. This is a little bit of olive oil. And then some, yes, jalapenos for extra yumminess, fresh cilantro, and the pineapple rings. And toss it all together. Or fold, depending on how large your bowl is. All right, once I've got all those carrots nestled in there and getting happy in the juice, I'm gonna go over here and start working on the hash browns. So you know me, I love to make everything from scratch. So what I have here is one nice large russet potato that I've cut into very thin strips like hash browns. Very similar to how I cut the jicama, but much, much smaller. I'm just gonna drop that in a nice big pot of simmering water. And what I'm gonna do is just barely bring it up to a boil and then drain it off. And before it comes up to a boil, you're gonna wanna make sure to totally salt the water so that the potatoes take on a little bit of that seasoning as they are simmering. Very good. And now, while you're waiting for that to happen, you can start working on your mole sauce. So I have 2 slices of bacon here that I've cut up, and I'm just gonna let them simmer in this pan until the fat renders out of them. Oh, very good. My potatoes have just come up to a boil. That should be just enough time to cook them so they don't taste raw while they turn into hash browns. Carefully drain them into a colander in your sink. Get them all out of there. Shake off that excess water and then bring it back over here to your little cooking station. Begin warming up a nice big sauté pan. Medium heat should do the trick. Okay, we have a nice hot pan here. I'm gonna add a little olive oil to it. And because I'm working with fried potatoes, a little butter as well. Butter just adds a nice golden brown color and a little bit of saltiness to the potatoes that we all love. Let that get nice and happy there for a second. Come on, butter, melt. There we go, that's happy enough for me. I'm gonna go ahead and add the potatoes in now. Get this little toss here, get it all coated. And then I'm gonna season it up with some chili powder. And a bit of salt. And then toss it again. Alrighty, I'm just gonna kind of leave these alone and let them brown. And then we'll play with them a little bit more later. And holy moly, let's go back to the mole sauce. The bacon is rendered, it's just barely starting to turn crispy, so it's the perfect time to go ahead and add in the onions and the garlic and the tomatillos. So this is about 3 small cloves of garlic that I chopped up here, and about 2 tablespoons worth of minced onion, and a nice big handful of tomatillos. It's a couple tomatillos there. Those are gonna cook down quite a bit. Oh, and the jalapeno. Got about half of a diced up jalapeno there. No seeds included. Get that a little stir. Get it all coated in the bacon. And then let that cook down. Alrighty, and now it's time to get the vegetables going. So these carrots have had several minutes to marinate in the pineapple juice and vinegar. And now it's time to put them on the grill and get them started. They're gonna take longer than the pineapple, so I'm just gonna start with the carrots. Put them on a nice hot spot on the grill. So just let those cook off for a few minutes. And we'll flip them and add the pineapple. Let's take a look at the mole. Look at that, those tomatillos are cooking right down. It's great. You want to do this with an open saucepan so the liquid cooks out and you just concentrate the flavors of the tomatillos and the garlic and the onions and the bacon. And our hash browns are coming along nicely as well. Not ready to flip or do anything with yet, but they're coming along nicely. Look at that mole base, that's looking amazing. You can barely tell that there's any tomatillos in there. They've cooked down so much, and most of the liquid is cooked off. So at this point, you want to add a little bit of beer. Let that cook in, and let that cook off just for a couple minutes until you see the liquid reduced by maybe 20%. And in the meantime, it's like it's about time to start flipping some potatoes here. Beautiful. And give those a nice little flip and spread them back out. Get some more even browning going on there. And then we wait for a second longer. All right, meantime, back to the carrots. So you want to make sure that you're brushing them frequently with the juice. Just keep them nice and moist and help them cook faster. And then when you start to see them char up on the first side, go ahead and flip them over. Beautiful. Now I did adjust my heat down just a little bit, so I'm down just maybe a notch or two from the highest temperature, and that's just so these guys roast rather than burn. And then once you flip them over, make sure you dust them with some more of this beautiful juice. Now's a good time to add the pineapple as well. Now since the pineapple cooks faster, you can put it on the cooler parts of the grill, and it should all finish at about the same time. A little bit more brushing, keeping everything nice and moist over here. All right, looks like enough liquid is cooked out of my mole here. Now it's time to finish it off. So I have about 1.5 ounces, 2 ounces here of nice dark chocolate. I'm just gonna mix it in, take it off the heat, and stir it in until that chocolate all melts. And then this is gonna form the most amazing mole ever. Such a good mole sauce right here. The combination of bacon and chocolate together is, it's almost unholy. It's so good. You gotta give that a little taste. That is amazing. Wow. All right. I'm gonna put that away for the time being. Put a little lid on it. Keep it off the heat till I'm ready to use it. All right, look at these potatoes. These are ready for another flip. Look at how handsome those are. Those are just about ready for the stuffing. Spread those out. Ah, heck, let's just go for it. I'm gonna add the onions. I'm just gonna work on approximately 1/2 here of my hash browns. I'm gonna add the onions, nice green onions, and my cotija cheese, which is a nice fresh tasting dry Mexican queso fresco. And then the sour cream. A couple nice little dollops in here. Just enough to add that extra special richness that only sour cream can add. Beautiful. Then, I'm going to carefully fold this over on itself. Kind of a finessing motion here. Take that little bit of extra over there and put it in over here. Move it to the middle of the pan so it can maximize the heat exposure. And just let it sit and finish off. All right, those are ready to come off the grill now too. Put them in there to keep them warm. Now it's time to put those steaks on the grill here. I'm gonna flip them one more time just to make sure they have all that lovely flavor on them. Right on the hottest part of the grill. About 3 to 4 minutes per side. Should do the trick for a nice medium rare steak. Those feel good to me. They have just a little bit of give to them. Take them off the grill, on the plate. Whew. Turn off the grill. Thing's noisy. Then scoop a little bit of the mole on top. Delicious. Right on top of the steak. So good. couple little sprigs of fresh cilantro over the potatoes and the veggie. And these babies are ready to go on the table. Well, check that out. That was a delicious dinner that you just whipped up, influenced by flavors from south of the border. Serve this up with a nice stout red wine or a good stout beer, and call in your sweetie. It's dinner time. Honey!
Wow, does this look good?
Thank you, my dear.
This looks so nice.
Thanks. Some stuffed hashbrowns, some steak mud.
This is such a hot kitchen.
So thanks for joining me in my hot kitchen tonight. Have fun turning up the heat in your kitchen, and I'll see you next week. Night night.